Hey YouTube, it's Nate from Team Learning and Growing coming at you with another deck profile. This one is going to be a little bit of a homebrew, and to call it a rogue deck would even be a little bit of a stretch. But it is my favorite leader of all time, and I say all time because it is a little bit of an older leader. It's actually come out in set 2. So for those of you who weren't playing back in set 2, it's going to be a little something new to you, something maybe something you haven't seen before. And for those of you who have been playing all that time, what are we doing? Maybe hopefully you feel a little bit of nostalgia seeing this deck. It's definitely not a top tier, but I think that especially in a best of one format, it definitely comes with a little bit of a surprise factor. It can definitely catch people off guard, and I've taken it to my locals, and I've gone as far as to go undefeated in my locals, beating full power Icarus and Sin Shenron. This is before the set 16 ban list. I have switched up some cards here and there, but it's definitely a super fun deck. It does lack a little bit of consistency, but when it goes off, it is incredibly satisfying, and it's definitely a lot of fun to play. And maybe you guys can offer some help and make a little bit of some tweaks here and there to make it a better deck. Before we get into the deck profile, I do want to just show off the quick the drip that we got. We got my locals. This is my home locals. This is Gaming Universe Core. Anyone in the New York City area, definitely check it out. It's in Flushing. Flushing Main Street. Definitely go ahead and check it out if you're ever in the area and you're looking to play not just Dragon Ball, but any TCG, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, anything that fits your fancy. And now, without further ado, we're gonna get into the deck. And the leader, for those of you who don't know, is set 2 Vegito. For those of you who don't know what this leader does, on both sides, on both the Unawakened and Awakened side, he makes all Son Goku and all Vegeta cards tricolor. He makes it red, blue, and green in all areas. This includes being in the deck, in your hand, on your battlefield, and in your energy. And by making all those Gokus and Vegetas tricolor, it offers a lot of interesting lines of play, and definitely for those who are unaware, opens up the door for a lot of cute little tech cards that definitely can help. On its Unawakened side, the other effect is that when it swings, you can burst one. It says you can place up to one card from your deck to your drop area. This is before burst was a keyword. And if that card is red, your leader will gain 5,000 power for the battle. So that being said, if it mills any Goku or Vegeta, that will count as a red card, even if the card milled isn't originally red. It'll count and it'll give the power boost. But also, most of the deck is red, and I will say that I don't use that auto very often. It's an optional burst one, so I don't always use it, especially because some of the things we don't want to burst, some things we don't want to mill and lose access to. It's a draw 2 leader. This is before untapping was part of the awakening skill. And on its Awakened side, you guys can't read it, but I'll read it for you, is that when this card swings, you draw 1 card, and if there are 10 Gokus and or Vegetas in your drop area, it gains 5k and double strike. I will say that I rarely ever resolve that second part, but it's there if you need it, and it does catch, it can be a surprise factor in and of itself. I rarely will use that auto to go in for game or anything like that. It's very rare that you'll have 10 Gokus or Vegetas in your drop area when you're swinging. Now, getting into the deck list, I gotta say, shout out to DBS Deck Planet. This creator view is absolutely amazing. And it's a really great tool for anyone who's looking to get into some Dragon Ball content creation. So the first cards that we're going to talk about are the main burst engine, burst meaning explosiveness engine of the deck. It's our Vegito cards. So this is Vegito Polymorphic Potara. What it does is you tap one energy, one, any color energy, and you discard it from your hand, and it summons two one drop Goku and one drop Vegeta from your deck or drop area onto the board in rest mode with their skills negated. You are locked into summoning Vegito cards for the rest of the turn after you use this ability, and if those cards remain on the field at the end of your turn, they send themselves to the drop. You may be asking, what's the point of that? The point is to go into Vegito Resolve Combined. What it does, it's a Union Potara for free. So if you have a Goku and Vegeta on your board, you put this card, you basically fuse into this card, and when you fuse into this card, you draw two. So it's basically a free draw two, or not free, it's a 1 mana draw two if you have both of these cards in your opening hand. This is our best turn one play, and this card is the powerhouse and the engine of the deck. So besides being a draw two, basically just for free by stacking your overlaying, for Yu-Gi-Oh terms, overlaying your Goku and Vegeta, it's also a barrier 25k. So it's a, offensive threat, especially coming out turn one, being a barrier 25k. A lot of decks may have trouble clearing this or dealing with it, but its main power comes from its activate main / battle skill for 2 red mana. It allows you to play a 7-drop or lower Vegito, doesn't specify color, Vegito from your deck and play it on top of this card. Its activate main in battle is main / battle is a huge part of the surprise factor of this deck. And so our target is the set 2 SPR, or no, it's actually set 3 SPR, Hyper Rush Vegito. Normally you would need to Union Potara for 5 energy Goku and Vegeta, but with Resolve Combined, it allows you to play it for 2 mana from the deck on top of the card. When this card is played, you send one battle card from your opponent's board to the drop area. So it's kind of like, and that's where the activate battle comes into play. It can kind of be used as an Sugesh explosive, where now it's no longer completely safe to go in for game with a battle card while this card is on board and you have 2 mana. It also allows you to rip a card out of your opponent's hand, while also you draw 2 cards and you can take up to 2 life. This card literally does everything and your taxes, and it is the big win con of the deck. When you can activate battle, so you'll swing with Resolve Combined, and then you'll tap 2 and play this on top, and you can kind of go for a surprise triple strike. But also, the Sugesh explosive play is the real, most energy efficient, where it will cause your opponent to kind of go minus by swinging with a battle card, where you can play it on your opponent's turn, and then when it comes back to your turn, now you have full mana and this triple strike threat on board. So that is the Vegito engine of the deck. Now we go into our Goku and Vegeta names. For Goku's, we play 4 of the SS Goku Legend Personified. It is a cantrip, and it has activate main bond 3. Once per turn, it can gain 21k power, making it a 25k power for 1 mana. Pretty insane. Bond 3 is definitely not hard to achieve, especially with having, our Resolve Combined being barrier cards. They can't be removed by normal skills, and 25k is hard to swing over. So Bond 3 is definitely not hard to get, 25k. And if you have the 25k power, when you overlay it with a Vegeta, the 25k also carries over to the Resolve Combined Vegito, and then onto the SSB Vegito if you choose to activate main or activate battle to put it on top. So it could just go into a 46k, so basically a 45k attacker, just from this 1 mana. The next is Son Goku Resolve Renewed. The 2 Resolve Renew cards are basically our Self-Awakeners, because this leader doesn't have any inherent Self-Awakening. You really use the Son Goku Resolve Renewed and the Vegeta Resolve Renewed, which we'll talk about, and the Hyper Rush Vegito, the ability to take up to 2 life. Those are your awakening conditions, or Self-Awakeners. When you can activate main and pay 1 red mana for the Resolve Renewed, you can take a life and play the card. When you have 3 or more mana, they go down to being from a 3-drop to a 1-drop, so you can just play them for 1. And then the Goku is a 1-cost counterattack, negate the attack, and then you play the card. So it's just a 1-drop negate, and also being a 1-drop past 3 mana for our polymorphic Patara target. And then we play 2 of the Concentrated Destruction. It's our barrier removal. It's also a Goku name, so if we don't need the barrier removal, we can just charge it and it becomes our tricolor energy. But it's also just a big out to Slug, because this deck absolutely loses to Slug. All of our cards draw, and when Slug is on board and it has its bond, we just lose so much value by not being able to draw with any of our cards. So those are our 10 Goku targets. For Vegeta, we play Protecting His Loved Ones. It is the silver bullet against restanding energy with a counterattack, so it's anti-D-Magic, it's anti-Cockroach when Baby was a thing, but it's also a barrier cantrip, so that's also just really good. You can play it for 1, it's almost guaranteed to stick if you don't swing with it, and then, you know, it just gives you the opportunity to be able to have safe battle cards to play. In case you don't see your polymorphic Patara, you can still be able to go into your Resolve Combine by just tapping 1 and playing each of your 1-drop cantrips, drawing 2, and then overlaying to get your another draw 2 with the Resolve Combined. And then we play the Resolve Renewed Vegeta. This card has really gotten a lot of popularity recently, because a lot of people are realizing that it's an out to a lot of the popular floodgates that are in the meta right now: Oceanus, Bupo, and Robotic Riposte. This is a 1-mana counter play to those, and it doesn't let them get played, so you don't get floodgated by them, which is really, really good, as well as being your other Self-Awakener. And lastly, we play 2 of the Son Goku and Vegeta Saiyan Synergies, the promo. It's just a 1-drop negate, and it's the big part about the card is that it's a dual name. So whenever you need, you know, sometimes when you're in a top deck scenario, you'll need a Goku, and, you know, it sucks when you draw into a, you know, if you draw and you draw into a Goku, then you have 2 Gokus and you can't overlay, or if you have 2 Vegetas, or you have Vegeta in your hand and you draw into a Vegeta, you can't overlay. This is a card that provides both names, which in a top deck scenario could come up, because, you know, it just provides the other name that you need, as well as just being a 1-drop negate. Because we are a red deck, because we're a red leader, we're able to play Piccolo Jr., Eradicator of Peace, and the Alliance ability is really good. It's also another draw engine, as well as being able to do guaranteed damage and put your opponent in an uncomfortable position, because now, because you have this triple strike threat, even 3 life is not safe. So a lot of times you'll be able to swing from 6 to 3 because it's a double strike and you can Alliance. And all of these cards right up here are all Alliance targets, especially Legend Personified being a 25k Alliance target. So for 3 mana, if you have the bond 3, for 3 mana, Eradicator of Peace basically becomes a what is that? I can't do the math right now. 40k, 35k, 40k triple striker, which is incredible for 3 mana. Especially when your opponent is, you know, if they're at a high life total, this can be completely surprising and catch them off guard and almost guarantee the damage to connect. For our super combo, we play Raditz Saiyan Youth. The reason we play Raditz Saiyan Youth is because our Hyper Rush Vegitos, when we use the activate main / battle, they have to come from the deck. So if you have them in your hand, you combo with Raditz Saiyan Youth, and you're able to put the Hyper Rush at the bottom of the deck in order to play it from the deck with the Resolve Combined activate battle skill, as well as just being another source of draw power. For our Overrealm, we play Fighting Against Fate. This is an extremely aggressive deck. You will always be filling your drop area with your cantrips and your, so your super combos, your counter attacks. So I was originally playing Secret ID because the original build of the deck was nearly as aggro as it was. It was more control-y. It played the Familial Bonds engine instead of Polymorphic Patara. And so because of that, you kind of wanted to play a more defensive strategy. So you played Secret ID in order to stabilize against your opponent if they were making a big board. But now that it's purely an aggressive build, you definitely just go for fighting against Fate, and it's the best game-ending overwhelms in the game right now. So why wouldn't you play it? The one Furthering Destruction Champa, very standard. It gives you the while normally you'll be going in for game with either your Double Strike Eradicator piece or your Triple Strike Hyper Rush, it does just also offer lethal pressure on your Fighting Against Fate, your Legend Personified, or your Resolve Combined. Especially with your Resolve Combined, since it is barrier. Giving a barrier card Double Strike, it's very strong, and not a lot of decks can interact with it, without having to jump through a bunch of hoops. For the extra cards, now we get to the extra cards. We play 2 Testing the Opposition. Sometimes you'll be at 5 life, and this will really just help you awaken. If you don't see yourself awakeners, or if you're not able to go into Hyper Rush Vegito in order to awaken yourself, as well as just being a free negate, which is always a positive card to have. Finally, we get to Senzu Bean, and while it may look like we're only playing 2 blue cards, remember, our leader makes all of our Gokus and Vegetas tri-color, so any of these Gokus or Vegetas that we place into our energy are considered blue and give us access to Senzu Bean. This also allows for a lot of cheeky plays. Say that you have 1 energy up and you have Resolve Combined on board, and your opponent swings at you, not realizing that you can Senzu Bean, get that mana, go into Hyper Rush on their turn, and it's a very big momentum swing that people don't often see coming. And of course, our secret rare, we play Time Patrol Maiden Pan. The fact that it can be a free play 40k, once again, we're very aggressive. We're just trying to put damage on the board, put pressure on the board. But also, this deck definitely lacks a lot of defensive power. And while we have these counter attacks that we can use for 1 mana, sometimes if our opponent has a big board of especially small creatures, 50k rush and whatnot, especially decks like King Piccolo, a lot of the time we'll negate 1 or 2 swings, but they'll have plenty of other swings to go with, and at that point we don't have a lot of big defense, so we're just really just comboing off our hand, which we don't want to do. Pan gives us a lot of free defense, and is almost a baby hatch for any color generic, because it almost makes your opponent basically have to pass their turn because their battle cards don't get to swing. And being a 40k swing, as well as being able to take a card from your opponent for 1 mana, absolutely amazing. Best SCR in the game right now, probably, which rounds out our 50 card list for set 2 Vegito. I do have, not everyone has access to Pan, so I do have a couple of side decks / replacement cards. When I first built the deck, especially for that Control-E style of play, I was playing SS3 Scramble, which for 5 energy is a guaranteed 2 damage, Arrival, red-green, which obviously we are playing. Very cheesy and definitely can catch people off guard. Also, the Power of Patara. Another skill that the Resolve Combined card has is this Activate Main. For 4 mana, you can play 1 Vegito card with an energy cost of 10 or less from your hand, and on top of this card, doesn't really come up often. We're obviously trying to resolve the 2 mana, play it from the deck, but it does offer a little cheeky play. 4 mana, play this card on top of Resolve Combined, and you draw 4 cards and you rest 4 of your opponent's cards, including their energy. It is a triple strike, so often, it could be another way of ending the game. The Vermilion Saiyans, you basically warp one of your opponent's cards for every color present on the battlefield. Remember, we are playing tricolor Vegito, so we will have at least 3 colors, if not 4, including black with our Pan, for 1 mana, being able to pump our leader as well as warp a bunch of their cards. This is definitely another option to play. And finally, for the last SCR option is the Radiant Saiyans. We are a red leader, and this is an extra free super combo. Like I said, a lot of our deck, our defense is just combo power, so this will offer some good defense, as well as being able to wipe their board. Say if you can't get Pan out, if you can't have Pan, this is another way to mitigate pressure from boards that go wide. Like I said, I was playing Secret ID, which is also a very viable option for your overrealm. Testing the opposition is a great option for your defensive spell, but it could also be King Vegeta's Imposing Presence. Since we are a mono red Saiyan, we can play this card. If ever 15k rush really becomes more prevalent in meta, this will probably be the negate of choice, or the counter attack of choice, instead of testing the opposition. And then these are just some other Gokus and Vegetas that we are able to play. Divine Presence, Royal Evolution, Fusion Synergy, and Exploiting Weakness. All these cards have their niche roles. This could be a more aggressive build, another aggressive build. This could be a board wipe that you could play instead of playing Concentrated Destruction, and Fusion Synergy is just also another self-awakener in case you're really trying to turbo through your unawakened side. And so yeah, that is the deck list. Like I said, it's not nearly tier, it's definitely not top tier, but going into that turn 2 triple strike kind of will definitely catch people off guard, as well as having that Shigesh explosive effect definitely makes people, it could make people overcommit and then punish them for it. Definitely let me know if you guys have any comments or concerns or any advice to tweak up this deck. I'm always trying to make this deck better. I'm always looking for new Gokus and Vegetas to throw into this deck, if ever, because they're always going to print more and more Goku and Vegetas, red, blue, or green, in future sets. So this deck will always, theoretically speaking, get support, and this deck can always be improved upon. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and have a great week, and always keep learning and growing. Take care. Peace out.